Welcome back. This is Netlab 01, navigating the vSphere web client. We're in section 1. We're taking a look at the vSphere client here. You can see we've logged in already. And you'll note in this interface, we have a lot of buttons and so forth to click. So let's take a look at the lab, and we're going to take a look at this navigator pane first. And you'll note that the first, in general, when you log in to Netlab, you'll be logged in, or when you log into the vSphere client, you'll note that this navigator pane should be open on the left side, and it is in general going to show you the hosts and clusters tab. But that isn't always going to be the case in production in a different environment. So you'll be able to customize your experience and save those kind of settings. But in any event, if we take a look here, what we're going to do is go ahead and expand this node here. And so when I do so, I use these arrows on the side here. So you can see this is my vSphere environment at this web address. This is actually vCenter. And then within vCenter, you can see I have this data center called Data Center, appropriately enough. If I click on that, you'll notice that right over here, this changes. When I click on the arrow, that'll actually expand and show the additional nodes below that. At any time, you can expand these nodes, and expanding them really doesn't change the focus. And so in the lab, you'll see that we remained focused here, but expanded these different nodes here just by clicking on the arrows. In the lab, you'll note at step 10, they tell us to go ahead and focus on this first ES6i host here. And you'll see that the environment or details window over here, our summary tab, changes. And so if I look here again, you'll see in the summary here, I get a summary for this shows me all my clusters, my hosts, and my virtual machines. When I click on this node, you'll see I get a summary that's specific to just the ES6i hosts. So this is part of that contextual information that I get when I change my focus just by clicking on a different section. Notice over here on the summary tab, I can get live performance data. So this is information that's, when we say live, it means that this is how my memory and my storage are currently being consumed. Notice no CPU is being consumed at this stage. And then if I scroll down on the window here, you'll notice that I have the hardware and configuration sections. I can actually scroll down this way. If I've changed my focus to here, you'll see the little scroll bar here. Or scroll back up, and you can also open and close these windows here or panes. And each of these panes provide additional information. Sometimes it's useful to close them all up to make it a little easier to view items at the bottom of the page. And you can see that there are 5 panes on here. Let's go ahead and click on this node at the top. Okay. And what we're going to do is use a search. So we have this search field over here. And I'm going to go ahead and search for a data store. So I'll go ahead and type in a search prompt. And I typed in data store, and you'll notice my search results. And I'll go ahead and click on data store 1. And you'll notice that in the navigator, I've now moved to the data store node. And you can see data store 1 right over here. And so one of the neat things about navigating through here is we have multiple ways to move around. So you can do a search by name. We can click on the various nodes across here. We have different ways to moving about. Notice that we're once again on a summary tab. So for consistency, you'll always land on the summary tab unless you've been navigating through here previously and you've been using back and forward arrows. We can see that data store 1 in the summary. Here's our live view, and you can see that we have 9.75 gigabytes free. Out of a total capacity of 14.75 gigabytes, we've used 5 gigabytes. And this information is being pulled by querying the data store 1. So if you make a change, you might find that you'll need to hit the refresh button in order to update this view. Now, let's take a look at another section over here. In step 16, we want to identify the vSphere client version. And so if we look at the top here, we have the help menu here. And if I click on the down arrow and go to About VMware vSphere, and note that the client version. And so, this might be useful, for instance, if you wanted to ensure you're at the most current version of the vSphere client, or if you needed to identify a specific version that you should be running. There you can see that my lab reservation is about to end, so I can request more time. So I will do that. Notice that it does that at 15 minutes before the lab ends, and it uses the last 10 minutes of the lab time to clean things up. So I really only have 5 minutes of work time left. So I'm going to request more time here. And my lab reservation was extended, and now I'll hit the dismiss button. That will give me up to, I believe, 2 notifications before I will no longer be able to increase that time, or if somebody else registers to use the same pod on the reservations. And let's say they make a reservation, and if I extended my lab time, my reservation, if there isn't enough time before the reservation begins, I won't be able to extend it. Okay, let's take a look over here. And the next step here is to change the theme for the vSphere client. So if I take a look here, it shows me that under my name, my username here. So let's close this up here. And you can see under the username, if I click the down arrow, I can click on the switch theme. And what's nice about this is it allows me to use the dark mode or the light mode, depending on which works for you. Do note we're getting a little message here about some plugins being upgraded, etc. You can just close that out at this stage here. Okay. Make sure you read the note here about some visual inconsistencies that could occur. One more time, let me go ahead and change this to dark mode. Okay, that brings us to the end of this video, and in the next we're going to take a look at logging into the ESXi host. I do encourage you to spend some time navigating around here and click on a few more links to see the differences in the different data stores. Click on the virtual machine link over here, the VMs and templates link, and you can take a look at some of these. Do make sure you give yourself enough time so you don't run out of time for your lab, but have a look around. Also, make sure you check out the instructions for the deliverable and capture the appropriate screenshot, whatever that is, before you close the lab. All right, we'll see you in the next video.